Discover the miraculous world before the flood, a divine revelation of God's plan, 2025, 4K. In the days of the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the world was filled with violence and evil. Strange beings, the Nephilim, roamed the earth, the descendants of the sons of God and the daughters of men. They were mighty and renowned, their deeds echoing through the hearts of mankind. Amidst this chaos, one man stood apart, Noah, a righteous man, blameless in his generations, who walked with God. His heart was troubled by the sin surrounding him, and he devoted his days to prayer and faithfulness, seeking God's guidance in a world that seemed lost. One serene afternoon, in the lush garden that he had cultivated, the scent of blooming flowers mingled with the sound of gentle streams. While laughter echoed from the villages nearby, the Spirit whispered into Noah's heart, revealing a vision so astounding that it shook him to his core. He envisioned an immense ark, a vessel of salvation, and with it came God's divine instruction: build an ark for the saving of your household. The weight of this calling pressed heavily upon him, but a spark of resolve ignited within. As Noah began to share this revelation, his family looked on in confusion and his friends erupted into laughter, mocking the very notion of an ark. "What is this madness?" they jeered, shaking their heads in disbelief. Yet the mockery only intensified Noah's commitment. Each swing of the hammer resonated with hope, as he remembered the promise made by Yahweh, the covenant that stretched forth to touch the heart of man. With every plank that they secured together, Noah took great comfort in teaching his sons the intricate designs passed down from the divine. They labored as a family, each joint a testimony to their unwavering faith. However, the laughter of the neighbors turned to scorn. "Look at the fool who believes in a God who promises safety from a flood that will never come," they taunted. Each deriding word felt like a dagger, yet Noah's heart remained steadfast. Days turned into weeks as ominous signs began to surface. Birds flew erratically, wildlife exhibited peculiar behaviors, and the winds began to whisper warnings of wrath, as if nature itself was lamenting mankind's transgressions. The very ground beneath him seemed to shudder with anticipation, a prelude to divine judgment. Noah could sense the turbulence in the air mirroring his own tumultuous thoughts. Would their faith indeed lead them to salvation? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the final boards were nailed into place, the storm clouds gathered ominously above. The earth was ripe with anticipation, perhaps even dread, for the promise of divine flood loomed large. Noah, standing on the threshold of the ark, felt the enormity of his task. Were his efforts in vain? Or was mercy indeed hidden in the depths of the storm? The first drops of rain began to fall, each drop a reminder of covenant and grace. Would they be swept away by the flood, or would this vessel of faith carry them to a new beginning? As the gathering storm grew more menacing, Noah prepared for the unfolding of God's plan, standing firm upon the precipice of hope against the backdrop of despair. As the skies darkened with the weight of impending judgment, Noah beckoned unto his household. "Come, my family," he implored, gathering his wife, their 3 sons, and their daughters-in-law. "The Lord has commanded us to enter the ark, for he shall cause the rains to fall upon the earth." Fear danced in the eyes of his sons, yet within his own soul, faith surged like a river steadfast and true. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they approached the majestic ark. Every board testified to their toil and faith, yet now it stood as a looming giant amid a fading world. The cries of laughter turned to silence, replaced by the weighty stillness of apprehension. People gathered at a distance, peering from behind trees and valleys, suspicion and mockery twisted into a thin veil of fear. Once inside, the family looked to Noah, who stood firm, heart prepared for the unseen storm. He whispered prayers of gratitude, beseeching God for strength and preservation. Lord of all creation, let this vessel be our refuge, he implored, a plea of desperate faith as a thundering wind began to whip through the trees. In that moment, the heavens opened. There was no gradual warning, the torrents fell with ferocity, pummeling the earth as if the very walls of heaven had shattered. The sound of rain echoed like war drums, relentless and unyielding. The earth, once firm under their feet, now succumbed to chaos, rivers swelling as the flood waters rose unceasingly. Outside, the anguished cries of humanity echoed up to the ark, each voice a testament to their scornful disbelief. Noah! Open the door. We were wrong to laugh. Yet Noah stood at the entrance, knowing the decree spoken by God was immutable: my spirit shall not strive with man forever. The door to the ark had been shut by divine command, sealing their fate. As the waters surged higher, God's creatures approached the ark, drawn by the unseen hand guiding them. Pairs of every kind, from every corner of the earth, ventured forth at the behest of the Creator, entering into the ark beside Noah's family, a silent testimony that God cared for all his creation amid his judgment. For 40 days and 40 nights, the deluge raged. Each drop of rain, each crashing wave confirmed the reality of Noah's faith. Inside the wooden haven, Noah and his family huddled together, visions of despair replaced by an unwavering hope illuminated by the flame of God's promises. They had become a remnant, a symbol of faithfulness amidst a generation bound by wickedness. Noah spoke often of God's vision, sharing stories of creation, the beauty of life, and the love of the Almighty. He is faithful, despite our circumstances. He would remind them, his voice rising over the storm. Peace enveloped them in the tumult, for they believed fully in God's ultimate plan. As waters poured forth and darkness seemed to consume the earth, another storm brewed not in the skies, but deep within the heart of God, a plan yet to unfold. What lay beyond the flood? A new world awaited, a covenant reborn. But even as Noah fortified his faith with each passing rain, whispers of divine purpose stirred anew, the promise entwined not merely in survival but in an everlasting covenant upon the earth. And in the heart of the storm, a revelation simmered, for God was a God of renewal, and his plan was only beginning. As the floodwaters continued to rise and the tempest raged, Noah found himself awakening to a profound stillness that lingered even amid the chaos. The ark creaked, swaying upon the unrelenting waves, yet within its wooden embrace lay a sanctuary, a vessel that held the seeds of renewal. The days blurred into one another, each dawn offering no sign of respite, yet within the confines of the ark, Noah's heart brimmed with faithful anticipation. He gathered his family, urging them to pray and to remember the promises shared with their forefathers. The Lord has not forgotten us, he assured them, his voice steady. Though the earth is drenched in judgment, he shall bring forth hope from despair. As the rain continued its steady assault on the vessel, Noah recounted the creation's beauty, the vastness of the heavens, the splendor of the earth, and the vibrant life teeming within it. His stories, imbued with the shimmering light of divine truth, cast a glow of perseverance in the hearts of those gathered. The daughters-in-law listened intently, and their faith began to emerge, as dew upon the morning grass, though surrounded by flood and despair. Then came a day marked by divine revelation. The tumult outside quieted for an instant, as if creation itself held its breath in reverence. Noah, sensing the unusual stillness, turned his gaze to the skies, where the dark clouds had parted momentarily to reveal a beam of light. In that sacred moment, he understood the vision of God's renewed purpose was sharpening in the depths of his spirit. Behold! Noah exclaimed, calling his family closer. I hear a sound, a divine whisper. The Lord speaks in the silence of the storm. Each heart quickened with hope, and his family gathered as he knelt in prayer, asking for understanding of this new season. Lord, he prayed earnestly, show us your ever-present plan that lies beyond this trial. As if in response, an ethereal warmth enveloped the ark, igniting a flame of understanding within Noah's heart. He felt drawn to recall the promises made to his ancestors, the covenant with Adam, the pledge to Abraham, and the oath to Isaac. In the depths of this flood lay a flicker of rebirth and a fresh beginning. God would restore what had been lost and establish a new lineage, one reflecting his glory. Suddenly, a stirring rippled through the ark, igniting courage within each soul. "I see it," Noah declared, a spark igniting in his eyes. "After this storm, the Lord shall establish his everlasting covenant, wherein he shall not only preserve our lineage but also promise the continued existence of every living creature." His sons nodded, trembling with understanding of the weight of their father's vision. And though the rain poured endlessly, they felt once more the hand of providence guiding them. "We have been chosen to usher in this promise upon the earth," one of his sons, Shem, murmured, awestruck, looking at his father. Through the word of God, Noah and his family sensed the power of faith mingling with obedience, and it became clear the covenant formed amidst destruction would breathe life into a creation yearning for redemption. Yet, as hope blossomed in the hearts of the faithful, shadows lingered still, for the world that would emerge would not only bear witness to God's grace but also to the depths of human heart. What trials awaited them in this new beginning? What challenges would they face when the waters finally receded, revealing the earth anew? In the heart of the storm, as they held on to faith intertwined with promise, the true unveiling of God's sovereign plan began to nestle within their spirits. The flood was not a finality, it was merely the beginning of an extraordinary covenant that echoed through the ages. What awaited Noah on the other side of the deluge? Only the Lord knew, and therein lay both the mystery and the wonder of his divine decree. As the silence settled upon the ark, Noah's heart was stirred anew. He lifted his gaze to the heavens, where the fleeting light had vanished, but the reverberations of divine promise lingered still. With each swelling heartbeat, he sensed the weight of their momentous task pressing upon their spirits. "Prepare yourselves," Noah instructed his family, their faces aglow with determination. "The Lord shall lead us beyond this expanse of water. Together, we have been chosen to steward not just our lives, but the entirety of creation. We must cultivate faith in the aftermath, for in our hands lies the legacy of all living beings." His sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, exchanged anxious but resolute glances, the conviction of their father's words igniting a fire within them. They gathered the animals entrusted to their care, whispering assurances and nurturing the delicate bonds of life which thrived amidst destruction. Days passed like the endless waves surrounding them, yet within the ark, hope burgeoned. Noah's family worked in harmony, holding fast to the rhythms of life as they nurtured the creatures, feeding, tending, and caring. And amidst these labors, Noah continued to lift prayers to the Almighty, seeking divine direction. One fateful morning, as the waters began to ebb slightly, Noah took a step to the window of the ark, eyes squinting against the remnants of the storm. He beheld a vast expanse of water, melancholic and still, yet a glimmer danced across the surface like the sparkling invitation of dawn. The Spirit of God stirred within him a reminder of promise, a glimmer of hope. "Noah," a voice echoed within his heart, weaving through the silence, "remember my covenant and trust in my timing." With that, Noah turned back to his family, empowered by divine assurance. "The rain shall cease," he declared, conviction weaving through his voice. "The day approaches where the earth shall be revealed. The floodwaters shall recede, and the fertile soil shall once again breathe life." In that moment, Noah instructed his sons to prepare for the day of emergence. "Gather your strength, for we are to descend from this vessel of salvation and witness the renewing creation. The Lord shall guide our first steps in the world made new." The air shifted with anticipation as they donned their cloaks of resilience, each heartbeat a reminder of the divine charge bestowed upon them. As the sun's golden rays painted the distant skies, a promise echoed in their hearts: the rains would give way, and from the depths of chaos, hope would arise anew. But the shadows of doubt whispered amongst them. "What shall we find?" Ham questioned, glancing nervously toward the distant horizon. "Will the earth remember us when it is restored? Will it welcome us back?" Noah steadied his voice, "Trust in the Lord's promise. For the blood of destruction must yield to the soil of life, a life unlike any before. He shall not abandon us nor leave us without a purpose." As days lingered and the waters slowed, vibrant green began to whisper beneath the surface. The call of the dove fluttered in Noah's heart, a reminder of peace that was yet to be found. Then came a specific moment, heralded by divine grace, the dove returned, bearing an olive branch, a sign for Noah and his sons to trust in the Lord's providence. The waters recede. Hope is alive. Noah exclaimed, the exuberance ringing within the walls of the ark. They gathered, hearts beating as one, and offered praise to the Lord. Great is your faithfulness, O God, they cried, voices mingling with the gentle lapping of the waves that signaled a new dawn. And yet, amidst their celebrations, a deeper revelation brewed within Noah's spirit. He knew not just the promise of survival awaited them but also the test of humanity. Upon them lay the destiny to steward a world reborn, marred by the potential of sin that once led it to ruin. What awaited them on the shores of this new reality? The shadows of the past were heavy, and human hearts still yearned for rebellion. The path ahead flickered with both promise and peril, for God as sovereign. Design danced upon the horizon, waiting to be entirely unveiled. What new covenant would he craft in the soil of this fresh beginning? Only time would reveal his wondrous and sovereign plan. As the days melted into each other, the gentle lapping of water against the ark began to change. The familiar rhythm morphed into a soft murmuring, a promise that the world awaited beyond the wooden walls. Noah, ever attuned to the cadence of creation, felt an urgency in his spirit. The time to emerge was drawing near. Early one morning, as the dawn's light crested the horizon, Noah stood at the ark's window once more. He beheld the glimmer of land in the distance, the outlines of mountains rising like ancient sentinels from the depths of the sea. With a heart pulsating with gratitude and apprehension, he turned to his family. "Look!" he declared, his voice filled with fervor. "The earth awakens. We shall soon step upon land once more, the land that the Lord has preserved for us." His eyes sparkled, reflecting the divine light breaking through the clouds. Shem stepped forward, his face radiant with newfound hope. "What shall our first act be, Father? To honor the Lord or to seek our homes?" Noah nodded gravely, understanding the weight of their predestined stewardship. "We shall first offer praise to Him who has kept us," he proclaimed. "Our hearts must be full of worship before we tread upon the soil. We owe Him our very lives." Ham raised a brow, concern etched into his features. "But what if the ground does not embrace us? What if it is barren and desolate?" Noah turned to Ham, speaking with gentleness yet strength. "The Lord does not lead us into destruction but into newness. Remember the covenant declared, His promise will not fail." Then, with careful preparation, the family gathered together and prayed, giving thanks to the Creator for their deliverance. They sought guidance, filling the ark with the sounds of adoration, voices intertwining like the threads of a golden tapestry. After their fervent prayers had risen like incense before the Lord, Noah opened the great door of the ark. The scent of wet earth mingled with the salty breeze as fresh air rushed in, a gust filled with the essence of hope. With each step they took, the world unfolded before them. The vibrant greens that burst forth from the soil, enriched by the waters of the flood, beckoned them like a grand welcome. Flowers bloomed with colors unseen, and the song of the birds filled the air, harmonizing with the rustling leaves of trees that danced gently under the sun. As they stepped upon the firm ground, Japheth knelt, feeling the soft earth beneath his hands. "How beautiful it is, Father," he breathed. "Look how creation rejoices in our return." Noah smiled, drawing strength from the sight before him. Yet within him remained an echo of solemnity, a realization that such beauty bore with it a grave responsibility. "We are caretakers, my sons, tasked with nurturing and protecting that which the Lord has renewed," he asserted. Yet as they marveled at the splendor around them, Noah felt a stirring, a whisper of caution lingering in the depths of his spirit. The world was indeed alive, yet it would require vigilant hearts to sustain its beauty. "Behold," he murmured, "what blooms from this land shall depend on our reverence to its Creator. The path will not always be easy, but in adversity, His promises remain." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the skies with hues of crimson and gold, Noah ventured forth to build an altar unto the Lord. He gathered stones, sacred reminders of the covenant, and with reverent hands, he raised an offering, thanksgiving for mercy and grace that shone upon them like the evening star. And as the fire crackled, sending forth an aroma of gratitude, Noah's heart swelled with conviction. It was here, upon the fresh soil, that the first act of devotion arose. But as the flames flickered and the smoke ascended, a shadow danced at the edge of his vision, a haunting reminder that the remnants of the past lingered still. What unseen turmoil would this new life bring? His heart stirred with anticipation and dread, for though the world was reborn, within it lay the seeds of both righteousness and rebellion. How would humanity choose to cultivate this new reality? Little did Noah know, the bounds of heaven would soon reveal another facet of God's sovereign plan, one that would echo throughout all generations, an enduring promise that transcended time and sin. The story of humankind was far from at an end, it was merely the beginning of a greater covenant. As dawn broke over the renewed earth, a sense of sacred expectancy filled the air. Noah stood before the altar, the flickering flames a reflection of his heart's fervor. The warm light revealed the faces of his family, each illuminated with a mixture of joy and uncertainty. Together, they had weathered the storm, and now they would step into a world that bore the weight of their future. "Gather, my sons," Noah called, his voice carrying a richness of purpose. "We shall proclaim anew the greatness of the Lord, for he has upheld his promise to us." Shem, Ham, and Japheth approached, their hearts tethered not merely to survival, but to the weight of their inheritance. They had witnessed the wrath of God, yet here they stood, surrounded by the evidence of his grace. With hands outstretched towards the heavens, Noah began to speak praises. "O Lord, you are the creator of the heavens and the earth, in your mercy, you have given us a new beginning. Let the earth thrive through our obedience and stewardship." He emphasized each word, imploring the heavens to bless the land they now stood upon. As the echoes of his supplication faded, a tremor coursed through the ground beneath them. Noah felt it, a heartbeat in the soil, a whisper of the Creator aligning all things anew. "What is this?" Ham asked, drawing nearer to Noah. "Could it be a sign?" "Perhaps," Noah replied, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "God confirms his covenant through wonders and signs." And then, without warning, a gentle voice carried upon the winds, filling their hearts with profound awe. "Behold, my beloved. As I promised to preserve you, so too shall I shower the earth with blessings, yet the heart of mankind must choose the path of righteousness." Noah's heart quickened. Did they not hear a divine proclamation woven through the rustling leaves? The shadows of the past were not merely vanishing, they were morphing into the potential of tomorrow. He longed to understand, his spirit ignited by the weight of responsibility as he sensed the divine presence surrounding them. "Let us listen and heed the call," he urged fervently. "We must cultivate what the Lord has restored." In that instant, a sudden rustling caught their ears, and they turned to the thicket nearby. The timid forms of animals, abstract remnants of the order that had once thrived, appeared cautiously among the foliage. They approached, drawn by the fragrance of burnt offerings. Birds circled joyfully overhead, as if heralding a momentous event, the restoration of paradise. "This land will remember us," Japheth murmured, watching the creatures with awe. "For we shall be their guardians and caretakers of this covenant," Shem added, glancing at the altar adorned with breast and bones, understanding the significant role they were to play. Yet Noah's thoughts were troubled. Within every promise of nurture lay the threat of bare rebellion. The heart of man was prone to wander, as it had before. "Take heed, my sons," he cautioned. "This world, renewed in beauty, is also fraught with the shadows of choices yet to be made." Determined that their hearts would remain steadfast, Noah summoned them to embark on their first task. "We shall journey forth, to name the creatures and explore the land," he commanded, invoking a spirit of adventure tempered by reverence. "In doing so, we foster our bond with this creation entrusted to us." As they began to move through the lush greenery, uncertainty lingered, a veil cloaked in the familiar beat of temptation and fear. Together they ventured, a family united in purpose, yet aware of an unseen influence lurking in the depths of the forest. As twilight approached and the sky deepened into shades of purple and blue, an unsettling hush enveloped them. Noah paused, sensing a divine whisper urging caution. Would they continue in faith, or would they allow the echoes of past choices to dictate their every step? Little did Noah realize, the narrative of their lives was woven with the threads of a far greater story, a cosmic struggle between the forces of good and evil that would shape the fate of generations to come. The promise of hope, entwined with trials, awaited their resolve. How they chose to respond would establish the legacy of humankind, setting the stage for a divine revelation that would unveil God's sovereign plan beyond imagination. And it came to pass that as they wandered deeper into the verdant expanse, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that danced upon the earth. Noah's heart was heavy with thoughts of the covenant made with God, a promise sealed not merely with an arc of rainbow, but etched in the very sinews of creation. "See how the world flourishes," Noah spoke, his voice both reverent and filled with awe. "The Lord has set before us a garden-like paradise anew. We are tasked to nurture it, yet we must remain vigilant, for every blessing carries the weight of choice." Suddenly, a rustling in the nearby underbrush drew their attentions, and from the thicket emerged a creature most curious, a serpent, sleek and shimmering, with eyes that glinted with a knowing intelligence. Ham, instinctively stepping closer, felt the air grow still. "Father, behold this creature," he said, his finger pointing towards the serpent, hesitant yet captivated. But Noah, sensing a darkness beneath its alluring demeanor, raised his hand in warning. "Stay back, my son. There is wisdom beyond knowledge, and we must tread carefully where a lure seeks to ensnare." The serpent spoke, its voice smooth as silk, "Why should you fear me? Surely, you are the caretakers of this realm. Why not taste the fruit of knowledge, to know the fullness of creation?" Noah's heart sank, remembering the lessons of old, where temptation lay hidden beneath sweet words and glimmering scales. "We are bound by the command of the Lord," he declared firmly. "The knowledge of good and evil belongs to him alone. It is not for us to grasp." Yet the serpent slithered closer, coils weaving through soft blades of grass as it challenged, "What avails you ignorance? Do you not seek understanding, wisdom, richness beyond this simple life?" Japheth exchanged wary glances with Shem, who lamented, "This is perilous ground, for wisdom without reverence leads to folly." "Still, the garden is vast," Japheth added cautiously. "What of exploring the path of virtue mingled with wisdom?" Noah raised his voice to fill the troubled silence. "This day marks not our descent into chaos, but the rise of obedience. We shall not allow the trails of our forebears to lead us astray." At once, a chorus of birds erupted into a cacophony of alarm, heedful of the serpent's influence. As they flitted overhead, their cries harmonized with the fluttering beats of Noah's heart, a tension between the enchantment of knowledge and the steadfastness of faith. "Let us depart this place," Noah urged his family, gesturing toward the path ahead. "We walk forward in trust, for the Lord has given dominion over this land, and with it comes the power to resist all that seeks to tempt." The uneven terrain beckoned, led by the footsteps of his sons that faltered at times, yet strengthened by resolve. With each step traversed, a sense of unity emerged, a divine foreshadowing of the trials they would face. As the sun surrendered to the horizon, Noah, aflame with purpose, felt a stirring within him. A flicker, dare he say, of divine revelation settling upon his spirit like a mantle. Such is the burden of stewardship, he reflected aloud, that we tread not just upon soil but into the annals of destiny. We are bound by covenant, yet also called to be a beacon unto all creatures. Then, in the quiet of twilight, a profound murmuring filled the air, a whisper reminiscent of the winds of the Spirit. "Heed my summons, O family of Noah. In your choices lie the foundations of legacy yet unwritten, for the days ahead will be fraught with trials and judgments yet unknown." While a serene peace enveloped the earth, the shadows lengthened around them, and Noah understood that this moment was not isolated but a door ajar to the unfolding tapestry of God's sovereign plan. How they responded would summon echoes reverberating through generations. This day would define their legacy. But what awaited them in that delicate balance of knowledge and obedience remained obscured, a profound mystery written in the very fabric of creation. God's sovereign will, though veiled, breathed through the leaves. beckoning them to seek and remain steadfast amidst trials yet to come. And it came to pass as the twilight deepened, Noah and his family continued along the rugged path, weary yet filled with a peculiar resolve. The air thickened with meaning, and an unseen presence accompanied them, as if the essence of creation itself pondered their next steps. Suddenly, from a clearing emerged a magnificent stag, its antlers stretching toward the heavens, glinting in the fading light. It paused, surveying the four travelers with eyes that seemed to see into their very souls. Shem, steady of heart, whispered, "Look how it stands, a beacon amid the encroaching darkness." Noah knelt upon the earth, his heart resonant with the weight of understanding. This creature bears witness to the covenant of life, a reminder of God's promise to not abandon his creation. Japheth approached cautiously, awed by the majesty of the stag. "It knows us," he murmured. "Perhaps it senses our burden." As though responding to his words, the stag moved forward, its steps both graceful and deliberate, urging them deeper into the heart of the forest. The moonlight began to pierce the thick foliage above, illuminating the path ahead. "We are drawn to something far greater than ourselves," Noah declared, rising to follow, sensing that the creature was leading them to a revelation. The woods thickened around them, yet within the shadows, a gentle luminescence flickered, beckoning Noah and his sons onward. They walked in silence, for each heart pulsed with the gravity of their mission. The whisper of winds rustled through the trees, as if nature itself echoed their fervor for divine understanding. Then they arrived at a hidden glade, where a pool glimmered with radiant clarity. The stag paused, lowering its head as if in reverence, and the brothers beheld the periphery of the water, where images began to dance upon the surface, visions of generations yet to come, a tapestry of human struggle and divine grace unfolding like flowers blooming in the spring. "Behold!" cried Ham, unable to contain his awe. "What does this signify?" Noah, kneeling once more, immersed his fingers in the cool water, and as he drew them back, droplets glinted with a celestial light. "These are the echoes of lives that will emerge in the time to come, of joy, of pain, and of the covenant fulfilled." A sudden wind surged, filling their sails of spirit, and Noah found himself enveloped in a prophetic vision. "In their choices, there will arise both towers of pride and altars of faith," he uttered, as clarity washed over him. He saw kingdoms rise and fall, the hearts of men swayed by temptation, the same rebellion sown by the serpent they had encountered. Yet, entwined with the fabric of sin, there sparkled threads of hope and redemption, steadfast in God's promise. "The sin of man will abound, yet grace shall abound all the more," he whispered, a certainty alighting in his heart. Through the veil of time, the Lord's purpose unfolded before him. "You are called, my sons, to be the progenitors of a remnant, planting seeds of righteousness even amidst adversity. The earth is a canvas for his will, and we are but instruments." As the vision receded like mist before the morning sun, Noah gazed at his sons, their faces lit with an understanding beyond mere knowledge. "Rise, for our journey does not end here. A greater purpose awaits, a covenant of assurance that even in desolation, the dawning of hope shall pierce the darkness." And with hearts stirred by promise, they turned to leave the sanctuary of the glade, knowing the weight of their calling. Yet a shadow loomed on the horizon, veiled in mystery, a foreboding of the trials yet to come. For within the whispers of the night, the serpent's eyes remained vigilant, sparking a knowledge that neither time nor the covenant could protect them from the temptation that would seek to unravel the tapestry of divine destiny. What lay ahead was a culmination of choices that would declare the fulcrum of creation itself, and the lurking truth of man's struggle between rebellion and restoration would soon be tested anew. As the night deepened, Noah and his sons moved with purpose, their steps guided by the gentle presence of the stag that had so suddenly appeared. The air thrummed with an anticipation that mirrored the heartbeat of creation itself. Shadows danced hesitantly in the illuminated glade, as if they grasped the gravity of the moment unfolding. "Father, what shall we do now?" Shem inquired, his voice imbued with reverence, a soft longing for direction resonating in his spirit. Noah turned his eyes toward the clear pool where moments ago visions had flashed before him, some bright with promise, others darkened by the shadows of despair. "We must carry this vision within our hearts, for it gleams with divine vocation," he replied, a solid conviction warming his soul. "Let us journey forth and seek the wisdom of the Creator." The stag, like a sentinel of God's purpose, beckoned them once more, and the family pressed deeper into the forest's embrace. The path twisted, each turn revealing the mysteries of the ancient woods, where the breath of the Almighty stirred the leaves above. Creatures of every kind rustled in the underbrush, their cries echoing the song of the earth, a soulful lament and a hymn of glory. As they ventured deeper, Noah sensed an urgency rising within him. "Let us not forget what we have seen," he instructed. "For as the floodwaters will cleanse the earth, so too shall we be called to cleave to righteousness." They found themselves ascending a gentle hillside, crowned by an ancient oak whose gnarled branches reached toward the sky, a testament to time's enduring passage. The stars above shone brightly, intimately woven into the fabric of the night, whispering the promises of ages past. "This tree bears witness to a covenant of faith," Noah mused, "as it stood long before us and shall stand long after." Then as they gathered beneath its canopy, a tremor rippled through the ground, and from the silence came a voice, deep and resounding, "Behold, my faithful servant." Both awe and fear gripped Noah. He closed his eyes, surrendering to the presence that enveloped him. "Speak, Lord, your servant hears." With each word, the very air seemed to vibrate, and he perceived the weight of divine instruction. "A great outpouring of judgment shall come upon the earth through the waters, cleansing the heart steeped in wickedness." Noah's heart raced at the imminent revelation. "But, Lord, how shall we prepare for what is to come?" The voice continued, unwavering, "Gather the living, for they are precious in my sight. Your family shall be the remnant to preserve life. For you shall build what has not been seen, a vessel of safety amidst destruction." "And your covenant?" Noah questioned, trembling at the profoundness of his call. "What sign shall we seek that you will execute your promise?" "Look to the heavens," the voice proclaimed, "and as a rainbow is formed after the rains, so shall you witness my faithfulness. For through you, hope shall arise from despair, and a new beginning forged in the heart of a remnant shall emerge." His sons leaned closer, drinking in the weight of their father's every word. They, too, felt the burden of their legacy forming, a bridge between the past and future. As silence cloaked the moment, the stag stamped a hoof, its presence still tangible, a reminder of the continuing battle between light and darkness. Noah opened his eyes, the vision unfolding within him anew. "Prepare yourselves, my sons, for the journey to come is not only one of endurance but of faith." As they stood beneath the oak, a shiver swept across the land, a reminder of the serpent's vigilant gaze. What lay ahead was both perilous and profound, as a struggle loomed on the horizon, the tension mounting like the swelling of the seas. For in the heart of this impending storm, God's sovereign plan was being knitted together by each of their choices, a narrative yet untold, ready to unfurl as the promise of deliverance lingered just beyond the dawn. In the hours that followed the downpour, as the floodwaters began to recede, a celestial calm enveloped the ark, and the very essence of creation held its breath. Inside, Noah and his family clung tightly to the promises of the Almighty as they navigated the uncharted waters of renewal. The ages of darkness were giving way to a dawn of hope. Noah, having begun to comprehend the scope of God's divine plan, gathered his family once more in the dimly lit interior of the ark. "Beloved ones," he said with a voice filled with enduring strength, "the flood is both a testimony and a lesson. As judgment fell upon the wicked, we are called to bear witness to grace, to be the conduits of life. As the sun broke through the murky skies, casting brilliant rays upon the remnants of the world drowned in despair, a sense of urgency filled Noah's heart. "It is time," he proclaimed, sensing the thrill of God's purpose ready to burst forth. They must prepare to lead not only their family into a new era but all of creation itself. Noah stepped toward the great doors of the ark, the weight of his call heavy upon him. "We shall emerge as a new creation, chosen by the Lord to rebuild in His image. We will honor Him with every breath and every step upon this sacred earth." In their hearts, hope ignited. Together, they nudged the magnificent door open, the creaking echoing the release of all that had been held back for countless days and nights. Outside, the splendor of a rebirthed world unfolded before them. Vibrant greens danced in the sun's embrace, the sweet scent of moisture rose from the soil, a reminder of life restored. With trembling hands and joyous hearts, Noah led his family into the land of promise, a new Eden awaiting stewardship. They knelt together amid the wildflowers blooming, grateful for the grace that swirled around them. "We will not forget what we have witnessed," Noah vowed, "for we are the remnant chosen to preserve the promise of renewal." And then, amidst their joyous exultation, the heavens opened wide, and the radiant beams of the sun refracted through the rain-slicked earth. A rainbow arched across the sky, a divine proclamation of God's everlasting covenant. "Behold," Noah cried, pointing towards the vibrant arc that stretched over them, "the symbol of our everlasting promise. Never again shall the earth be destroyed by waters of the flood." In awe, his family gazed at the radiant colors, each hue resonating with the very essence of God's faithfulness. Couples of creatures, once fearful and scattered, now ventured cautiously from their shelters, drawn toward the echoes of life. With every new leaf unfurling, the world vibrated with the pulse of hope and possibility set forth by the faith of one man and his unwavering family. "Noah," spoke Shem, with reverent wonder, "what shall we do next?" "We shall cultivate this land, my sons," Noah replied, filled with fervor. "We will sow seeds of righteousness, caring for all he has created. Our labor shall be a testament to our faithfulness." And as the days turned into seasons, the family toiled together, planting and nurturing the earth. They tended to the creatures around them, safeguarding their sanctuary and keeping the covenant alive in their hearts. They shared stories, tales of creation and grace that echoed through time, nurturing a legacy that linked them with the divine narrative. Yet as the seasons changed, a new awareness stirred in Noah's heart, whispering the burdens of humanity. The echoes of rebellion lingered around them. The shadow of the serpent still swirled in creation, lurking and seeking to entice. "Let us not forget the lessons we have learned," Noah warned his family, "for man's heart can be easily swayed. We must guard against temptation and remain steadfast in our purpose." And so they gathered as a family, raising their voices in fervent prayer, dedicating the new earth and their lives to the Most High. "O Lord," they cried in unison, "we ask that your will be done. May your grace guide our hearts, and may we always turn our eyes toward you." As that sacred day drew to a close, Noah's spirit soared as he reflected on the promises fulfilled. The covenant had woven together salvation and renewal, a testament of grace shining bright against sin's shadow. As they gazed toward the horizon, they held tightly to the faith that what awaited them was not merely endurance but a shared legacy with the Creator of all. With a renewed sense of purpose, Noah understood the truth of the divine revelation unfolding before him. The story of mankind was not just a tale of judgment, but one intricately interwoven with mercy and hope. The path ahead was daunting yet enriched with the promise that God was ever present, guiding, restoring, and calling his people into all that he had prepared for them. "Let us forge ahead, my family," Noah proclaimed, leading his loved ones into the light of a fresh beginning, for faith and obedience will pave the way for his eternal plan, now and forevermore. Now, dear friends, witness the power of God's truth explored through these sacred stories. Do not miss out on this journey. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word, and leave a like now to share His powerful message across this generation. Comment below on your reflections and how this divine revelation has impacted your faith journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear about God's faithfulness, for only true believers understand the importance of united action in reaching more souls for Christ.